So this is Professor Deskins here. I'm going to give a little tutorial today on using Excel to make charts and graphs. You're probably going to have to do this a lot in your career. Excel is almost the standard tool for any engineering discipline, and it's a great way to manipulate numbers and do calculations and so forth, and it makes some pretty decent graphs. And charts and graphs, these plots, are an excellent way to visualize data. So I wanted to give you a little tutorial on that. So entering the data is pretty straightforward. You have these little cells here where you can enter data. Let me just enter in temperature and pressure. So I'm just going to put some random numbers here. Just enter this. And once I've entered that in, I can go ahead and select my data. And then up here at the top, we can go ahead and let's see here if I remember. That's the thing about Microsoft Excel. All these Microsoft products is they like to hide things at the top, so it's sometimes not the easiest to find things. So now here we go, insert, and so I got this here, and I have all sorts of different charts I can make. The standard chart that you're probably used to is what I call a scatter chart. And I can choose just to display the data points. I can have data points with lines. I can have curves. I can have straight lines. I'm just going to choose this one here, straight line and markers. Let me pull this over here. Just drag it over here. And there I have it. And that's my chart. So here we have our nice little plot here we just made. There's one problem with it. Excel by default, and I don't know why they do this. I'm guessing Excel is meant more for accountants and office workers and business people, but the default parameters in Excel are really terrible for making nice engineering plots. I mean, you look at here, and I can already spot some problems with it. I have no access on my labels. I have all these weird lines. Why are there lines going across here but not lines going up and down? I have this P here. I have a P there. I mean, it's to be honest, it's an ugly plot. So I want to just talk a little bit about making nice professional looking plots. If you get in the habit of doing this early on, early in your engineering career, you'll save a lot of headache in your future career. I mean, when you go out into the working world and you start making these plots to show your boss, it'll really make a difference on whether you look like a professional engineer or an amateur. So here are just two plots. I just took these random plots from two scientific articles, and what it's showing is not really important. I don't even know what this data really means. So that's not really the important thing. The important part is I want to show that these are very simple plots. And to be honest, they're kind of boring. I mean, we just have this plot here, and we have X and Y axis, very nice label, and we have some data points. And the same here. It's simple data points here, a nice curve to illustrate it. They're black and white. There's just no color, and so forth. And so they're very kind of simple, but a little boring. But they do get the data across. So let me just give you an example here. So let's just say that one day you're out and about and you're driving your car, you get pulled over, speeding, whatever, ran a stop sign, and the cops, upset at you, you're going to jail. It's a tough situation. It's not looking good. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to get on the phone and you're going to call your lawyer, see what you can do about this. You don't want to spend the next 10, 20 years in jail or whatever it is going on with you. You call up your lawyer and boom, here they go. Your lawyer walks in and you're thinking, oh my, I'm going to get 25 years in jail. This is not going to work out. Well, you get on the phone, you call up another set of lawyers, and what do you find? Well, these ones look pretty decent lawyers. Now, the question is, which lawyers are you going to want on your side? Well, the ones on the left are pretty boring, and, so forth. But hey, I'm going to trust the ones on the left than the ones on the right. Ones on the left, they're boring, normal, whatever. They're good as lawyers. These two on the right, yeah, they're good for a party, but they're probably not good for a lawyer. You probably want them over at your house on Friday night, but not representing you in front of the judge. And that's really the point I'm trying to bring out, that trustworthy. Some in engineering and in any technical academic field, you want something that you can trust, and this is what a graph oftentimes says. It says whether you're an amateur or you're a professional. So something like this is, you might get this out of Excel, and it's all flashy and colorful, and it has all these gradients and all this stuff. But really, this one down here, it's a lot simpler, a lot easier to understand. It doesn't have any flashy effects. But if you show the one on the top left, someone's going to think that you're just an amateur. You're playing around with the colors, and you're not really a serious engineer. And so that's the whole point I want to make, is that you want to oftentimes go for simple, simple charts, even if it doesn't look as nice or colorful or whatever. Simple is a standard because it demonstrates professionality. So I want to just go back to this plot here and show you how we can make it more professional looking. This is the default it loaded up. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this title. There's no reason to necessarily have a title. Usually when you have a chart in a document, you have some sort of caption at the bottom which explains what it is. The other thing we don't need is we don't need this legend here. There's only one data set, so we don't need this legend. If there was maybe 2, 3, or 4 data sets, we might need this legend, but we don't need it. So what I'm doing is I just left click it and then I push the delete button. So we're making a little progress. I'm missing a title, an axis title for my X and Y axis. And so if I go ahead and just click this on, left click it, I have here at the top, I have all these little buttons in Excel. One of them you can't see, it's called Format. And with Format I have, Layout, that's what I want. There's the layout at the top. I have all these little buttons here. And one of them is axis titles, and I can go click primary, horizontal, just click that there, and it'll add that. And then I can primary vertical, and I can choose if I want it rotated, vertical, or horizontal. I'm going to choose it rotated. And the axis title, I can click it on, and then I can start typing. So I'm just going to change that to pressure. Make sure we use our units. So I'm just going to put atmosphere, and then temperature. Again, always have units. I'm going to put this in Kelvin, and we have this there. And it's a little too close here, so I'm going to just move this over, and I have that there. And we have our plot. We can still make this a little nicer. And there's generally 2 ways we can go about trying to modify our plot. One is if I click something, I can click this axis or this axis or the title or whatever, and then once I've done that, I can right click it. So I'm just clicking that, and I'm going to click right click and then format plot area. Let me just move this over here, and I can choose all sorts of options. The fill color, if I wanted to make this blue, you see it turned blue back here, which I don't want to do. This might make it white. Border color, I'm going to do a solid black line. Close that out, and you notice I do that, and this black line popped up here, so it wasn't open out. I don't know why it did that. I can go ahead and left click the grid lines, and then I'm going to click format grid lines, right click, then format grid lines, and I'm just going to say line style. Let's see here. I can make them thicker or smaller. I'm just going to make them 0. Well, no, it's still there. So this is where I need to go up to the layout, and you see up here grid lines. If you click the graph and layout, grid lines, primary, horizontal, none, and it makes them disappear. I'm going to change this format data series. It's blue now, and there's no reason why it should be blue. Colors, if you have multiple data sets, multiple lines, then maybe I want to change the color to blue or green or red on some of them to different colors, but just one data set, it can be black. So I'm going to change that. I can change, there's all sorts of options here. I can change the marker. Right now it's a diamond. I can change the colors of the markers. I can change the color style of the line. I can change the thickness and the style. I can make it dashed, all sorts of things. But this is fine right here. And actually, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little, I didn't quite finish this. The marker style, marker line color. So many options here. It's almost overwhelming in there. So I have this there. I have my plot. I'm just going to do two last things. I'm going to format the chart area. So I can go ahead and do this, and let's see here. Format selection, and the border color, I'm going to make no border. This is the other thing you could do. If you click on something, up here at the top there's this button, Format Selection, and I can click it, and it'll pop up the window, and I can change the properties of it. So now I have it. And the one last thing I want to do to make this a little nicer is I'm just going to click my whole entire chart, and I'm going to change the font size. I'm going to make this like a 14. So the fonts are a little bit bigger. And there you go. Oh, one more thing, and let me just finish out with one more thing. So I left-click my axis right here, and if I come out, click the Layout button, or Layout tab at the top, then click Format Selection, I can change some of the properties of that, and one of them is the range. So I'm going to change this from 1 to 5. You can change the major unit. I'm going to say the 1, so what it will do is it'll basically label, put a little tick every 1. I'll close it out, and there I have it. It goes from 1 to 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 every 1. And sometimes you may need to change the axis properties because Excel just usually guesses at what it thinks would be best. So there you have it, making nice little plots. Okay, I have one little final thing to show you, and this is just really a time saver tip. So I have my nice little plot here, and it's in the format I like, and so what I want to do is save these properties of this chart so that next time I make a chart I don't have to go in and change everything myself. So if I just go ahead and click on this chart, left click it, and up here under the Design tab, up here Design, is to make sure your chart's clicked, you can save as template, and what it'll do is open a little menu and you can save it. And I have a few templates already saved there, but I'm just going to call this Awesome Chart. You can call it whatever you want, but that's just what I'm calling it. And then I have it. And then let me move this out of the way. And so I have my data. Let's go ahead and click it, make a new chart. So I've highlighted it, insert, scatter, boom, and I have myself a chart, and it goes back to the default settings of Excel that I don't like, and I can left click it, choose design, and then come over here and there's change chart type, and over here I have a bunch of options to change it to, but one is templates, and then I have a couple templates here, but if you notice here I have these templates here, and I hover over and it tells me Awesome Chart. So this is the Awesome Chart template. This is the one I just created. I can actually set this as default, but I just chose Awesome Chart, click OK, and there we have it. It changes it to the settings of the other chart, and I need to go in and actually add the axis titles, but it saves me a lot of time so I don't have to individually click on every single part of the chart. So next time in the future, if I just need to make a chart, I'll use that template that I just created.